My pregnant girlfriend blamed me for losing her sense of self. Do I bring it up? My girlfriend and I have been together for a little under a year. Prior to that, we were friends for a couple of years and she identified as a lesbian. Eventually, we got closer and closer to the point where there were obvious feelings, so we started to date. It was off to a good start. Right when we really started getting serious, boom, we found out she was pregnant. It was a big surprise, but this isn't my first rodeo. I have a son from my previous marriage, but he's already in college, so I have a lot to catch up on. After getting over the shock, our relationship progressed and she moved in with us. Things were good, but when she told her group of friends, they all basically turned on her. They were put off by two things. One, she was dating me, a man. Two, she was having a child. More so the first. It wasn't an instant cut off, they were just slowly distancing themselves. I feel really bad because it's not like her to just sit around. She has always been a person that is always on her next move. Yesterday night I was going out with friends and she was not in a good mood that whole day. As I was preparing to go out, I asked her if she wanted to come with me and she took that to offense and went on a rant on how she doesn't need my pity because she has no friends and then blamed me for doing a 180 on her life. I tried to stay home but it was clear that she didn't want me around. She apologized this morning and said she was just having a bad day and didn't mean what she said. I know how pregnancy hormones can get, so I just wanted to know if I should touch base on her comment or if I should let it go. My main focus is trying to avoid resentment from building and addressing anything if it's beneficial. Comnet. You could try talking to her about what she said and see how she's feeling about it now. You didn't change her life alone. I mean, yeah, you both played a part in her getting pregnant, but she is choosing to be with you. Her friends aren't real friends if they can't stick around regardless of your relationship and her pregnancy. Touch base with her on it. See if it can be talked about and reach an understanding. White, this is such a rough situation. The fact that her friends weren't even supportive in the slightest is upsetting and actually kind of weird. It's one thing to be concerned for your friends making big decisions like having a baby, but it's another thing to totally abandon your friends over those decisions. Pregnancy is so hard on the body for a lot of people. It doesn't help that she is being abandoned by people who are supposed to be there for her. The most important thing for you to be doing right now is doing the most you possibly can to make her feel supported. She definitely did not mean it if she is apologizing. She is going through a lot of emotions and a lot of change in a short period of time, in a vulnerable state at that. Maybe open up communication about how you could possibly provide support for her at this time, and if she doesn't know what you could do to help her, try to brainstorm and come up with ways you can make her feel loved and supported. In turn, she may come closer to knowing what specific support she needs once she realizes she doesn't need to be surrounded by people to feel supported. You are there as her support and she isn't alone. Poor GF, she is realizing she is losing her circle of friends. You should still touch base with her. Encourage her to make more friends, maybe join a mama group. She is probably having some anxiety being a first pregnancy and expected her friends would support her but didn't. All that with her hormones going through the roof. Next story 2. My husband's friend disconnected from us after his wedding day. I needed to post this here to make sure I'm not crazy, biased, or wrong with my analysis. A few months ago, we attended the wedding of my husband's, Chris, best friend in Washington. Let's call the best friend Harry. They have studied together and were roommates in university and after that for many years. We attended it together with another friend, Gary, who is close to the groom/Harry. The guys were asked to give a toast, and they were told by Harry that there weren't any restrictions on what could or couldn't be said. My husband and his friend Gary prepared a heartfelt toast about how Harry has fallen in love with that girl and how he's transformed in a positive way, thanks to her love and positive influence. They only talked about the wonderful and positive things about their relationship and how it grew over time and led to the wedding. Nothing more, nothing less. After that, for the rest of the wedding, my husband, I, and Gary got completely ignored and mistreated by the bride, let's call her Susie. I got the feeling that she hated them, giving the toast. A few hours after the wedding, my husband and Gary received abusive messages from Susie. She accused them of ruining her wedding and how she shouldn't have let them come to her wedding. She accused my husband and Gary of talking their relationship openly and how it was a blunder because apparently she hails from an elite family, and it is not respectful at all to talk about dating, etc. She also said something about coming from a reputable family, and we all had no respect for family culture or traditions. She kept on sending abusive messages and deleted some of them. This kept going on until 1 or 2 a.m. Both my husband and Gary were shocked, upset, and hurt. It took them days to reel out of it. They're still traumatized by it. The day after the wedding, as we were driving to our train station, we were able to talk to Harry, who ensured things were normal and okay, and I finally opened up to him in tears about how my husband received some nasty messages. That was the last time my husband ever spoke to his best friend, Harry. It is complete silence from him, and he did cut us out of his life. Few things to note. Harry started acting aloof a year or so before his wedding. He started getting less communicative, and he chalked it up to stress at work. Whenever he would talk to me, he would always come out of the house and take the call. I found that odd, but I only talked to him once every 3 to 4 months, so I tried not to overthink it. Gary's spouse and I left messages to Harry once or twice to see how he was doing, but again, there was no response at all. The wedding was not done according to the culture or traditions she was from or brought up with. They married in a different country, invited very small group of people, and she planned the entire wedding. The weirdest part for me for the bride's toasts, which were given by her one close friend and another by a fellow student at her university. Both the toasts were entirely about singing praises about how smart, beautiful, and talented she is. I found it extremely strange. Even during the days of dating, apparently, she never hung out or socialized with any of Harry's friends. My husband stayed with her and once when he was traveling to their town on work. That was the only close interaction he had with her, and things seemed normal. I feel sad things ended this way because I shared an affectionate relationship with Harry. He always made sure to help me out as a friend whenever our marriage hit a rough patch, and made extra effort to include me in the guy friends group during my husband and my initial days of dating. My husband and the other friend Gary are hopeful that they'll re-establish their friendship with Harry again, and they're positive he'll come back to them. However, I don't feel the same. Both of them have been traumatized by this incident, and I don't have the heart to tell them that they might have lost his friend forever. Based on all these recollections of what has happened, I connected the dots and strongly felt that she could be a narcissist. Am I reading this all incorrectly? The reason I say this is because I suffered severe abuse at the hands of my narcissistic mom for 2 decades, finally fought it out, overcame it, survived and protected myself, and all the signs look very similar. My dad has been isolated from his family and friends, in a sly and aggressive way. However, I could also be biased, and I don't want to end up misjudging anyone for who they are not. Please leave your thoughts and opinions. Comment. He is being emotionally abused. She is isolating him from his friends, a tactic to keep him all to herself. It's very apparent, based on what you wrote. I hope he's okay, but I think there's nothing you can do now. Based on what you wrote, sounds like she has a personality disorder, probably NPD. At the end of the day though, it's not really your business and there's nothing you can do, until and unless the friend reaches out to you for help. Please use fake names instead of initials. Next story 3. I am at my wit's end with my boyfriend's inability to hear me and don't know what to do. None of us have any hearing problems. Both of us are 100% healthy with recent doctor visits in the last year. No history of mental illness, learning disabilities, or anything that would impact one's ability to hear or process information. He also needs regular physicals for work and is always fine. We have been together about 4 years, and for the past year or so since moving in together January 2022, he just does not seem to hear me. He says what after everything I say. Sometimes it's understandable, I'll be in a different room or he'll be distracted / on his phone. But most of the time we are literally right next to each other. One day I actually kept track on my phone and he said what after about 14 out of 20 things I'd said. He acts so confused as well, and I feel like I am talking to a child at times. Examples. We were recently hanging pictures in our guest bedroom. I asked for the hammer sitting next to him by saying, "Can you hand me that?" pointing to the hammer on the table. "What?" was his response. I had the nail in my hand and pointed to the only thing on the table. He was standing there watching me do it. What else would I be asking for? I told him the other day I was going to take a shower in a few minutes as he was cooking dinner. He said, "Okay, sounds good." I asked if he needed help. He said no. I said, "Okay, see you in a minute." He gets frustrated and says what in an annoyed tone. It was late the other night and he was playing video games. I said I was tired and was going to go to bed, then I asked if he had taken the dog out recently and he said no. I said, "Okay, I'll do that and then go to bed." His response, "Do what?" I know these seem small, but these are just a few of a handful of scenarios that happen daily. It's frustrating because I feel like he is not listening to me at all and I have to be extremely slow, repetitive, and clear with everything I say. I told my mom and she laughed and said that's how men are, get used to it. This can't be normal. I can't keep repeating myself non-stop. Sometimes I worry I have a speech issue, but no one else seems to struggle to hear me. Has anyone experienced this before, or do you know if there could be something more serious going on with his health? This is a small frustration that is building and I don't know how much more I can take. We have very few and small issues otherwise. Communication is the only glaring issue. Comment. Wow. He needs to go see the doctor. If he has the same issue focusing on a conversation with the doctor, then there is something wrong. If he only asks you to repeat yourself all the time, then there needs to be behavior adjustment conversations, cause that's a dick thing to do to you. My wife says what a lot, sometimes it annoys me, but after 34 years I'm used to it. Talk with him. Sometimes one's mind wanders elsewhere and they miss the start of what you are saying. Perhaps start with honey. Get his attention and then start talking.